You get in, your body goes into shock, you push all your blood to your core, and then you get a sort of a reheating and you feel alive.
We weren't allowed to train indoors in the winter. We had to find somewhere else to train. If you have had a stressful day, it's just good to get out. It just relieves a lot of the stress, and I always come out after a cricket training session feeling happier.
My well-being I attribute to my son in many ways. It's almost like an early morning ritual. We'll just go around and just see if any changes have happened.
So I'm the low ground floor consultant, so I'm on call for all the medical admissions that come in today, and I'm looking after the short stay patients on this area, which is the acute assessment unit. So that's my role today, so just to support the on-call team. We're a couple of doctors down because of COVID, isolation and lots of other issues, so it's about cross-covering. It's very hard to know if somebody has or hasn't got COVID, so we manage people on a risk basis as to whether you think they may or may not have COVID, but people who you would bet your house on don't have COVID sometimes come back as COVID, and so it's how you manage that and whether you think they're infective, and that's where difficulties come in. Everything just takes longer at the moment. Everything's harder work. It's just different, and everyone's life is different now, isn't it?
I'm a consultant in emergency medicine, so that means I'm one of the consultants in the emergency department, so we just deal with anybody who comes to A&E really. We work in a really good team. I'm really lucky to work with lots of lovely consultants and a brilliant team of nursing staff as well. Everyone looks out for each other. Mary, why did you have to come to hospital?
Oh, I'll tell you, I went to the dentist.
Sometimes I think, actually, if you're able to go to work, it's quite a good thing because you're not at home all the time. You know, it's almost a bit of a privilege. Who called the ambulance, Mary?
My daughter.
Your daughter. And does your daughter live with you?
Yes, she lives with me.
Obviously, it's really hard seeing poorly people, and it's really hard not being able to let their families in. I think that's one of the worst bits. It's stressful when you've got a loved one in hospital. I know what it's like.
Hello. I have passed someone with me.
Last week, I was on the intensive care unit. It's a 7 till 7 day. It's non-stop, looking after sick people who are critically ill, and I spend the rest of the time looking after patients with respiratory problems. It's tiring, there are long hours, there's a lot of scrutiny in terms of attention to detail, because as you know, COVID is new to many of us. The list doesn't seem to get any, doesn't seem to reduce with any speed. The onus is on us as you know, leads in departments and so on, to get out there and for instance, you know, showcase tree planting. We're going to go out and plant some trees in the grounds of Harefield. We're going to have the company of the sunrise.
Do you know the technique of tree planting? And then press it down gently with your foot. So Woodland Trust were going to give us 420 trees. We planned it with staff as volunteers to plant them in the ground, and we had over 100 people so far. And they were doing it for a host of different reasons. So obviously their own well-being is one reason. A sense of wanting to mitigate the impact of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And we are so lucky at Harefield, you know, that we've got this pride of this green space and amazing environment for patients' rehabilitation.
wellbeing is high on the agenda of the Trust. There's counselling available and psychological support if required. My father was an inpatient with COVID a month or so ago. Trying to manage that from a distance and being in the game almost makes it harder. I think we, as doctors and men in particular, are just not very good at looking after ourselves anyway. It can be difficult to try and juggle sometimes, and in fact being able to verbalise that and say that to my colleagues was really helpful at the time, whereas previously I would probably have bottled it up and not told anybody anything. We set up an informal group of people swimming together just so they'd know who else was here from work, because often you don't recognise people outside of their work uniform. If they get in under 10 degrees, they earn a royal freeze hat.
When we get out of the water, we're like, all of us are just fizzing with excitement. And I don't think you would replicate that in a bunch of adults anywhere else, really.
The coaches were a little bit like, you really want to train outside? And the whole team were like, yeah, we want to keep going. We're quite competitive.
People often say, how do you de-stress or how do you wind down? And my son Shravan and I have been planting trees for best bit of 2 and a bit years now. You come home and the first activity is almost let's go in the garden. And this just takes me away for a while. Planting trees and talking about it every day has now become a way of bonding. We now have 2 cherry trees, 1 peach, 3 plum, 2 grape trees, 1 walnut tree, a lemon tree, 1 orange tree.
I've built this into my schedule before going to work in the morning. Time away from the world, I can get in here and forget about everything else.
After the lockdown, we had our first training session, and I think it was like 3 degrees and raining, and we were outside, really tired, like, oh God, can I really be bothered to get out there again, especially when it's freezing cold and raining. But once you're there, it's just a lot of fun.